Hello. On today's episode of Swim Lessons, we have the great and powerful, most courageous person ever, Karin Felman. Karin owns Hot Yoga University down here in Scottsdale, Arizona. But Karin's had this really unique journey where she's came out of the corporate world. She came into her own, and she owns what I feel is one of the greatest studios here in Phoenix. And she just does a great job. She talks a lot about how she establishes a community with her yoga, and how she just wants everybody to be the most confident they can and just to explore yoga. And coming from me, I hated yoga and now I love it. And Karin is my personal instructor, and she's become a great friend. And I hope you guys learn a lot today, because Karin has a lot to tell. And if you get a chance, go to Hot Yoga University here in Scottsdale. But here we go with Karin Felman.
Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Karin Felman's in the studio today. Thank you so much, Karin, for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Now, Karin, tell us a little bit about yourself. You run Hot Yoga University. You're a trainer for how long?
I've been teaching yoga since 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you come to the studio, if you will?
To practicing or?
To just, practicing.
Well, it was my daughter's birthday, and so we thought, let's do something fun. So we were like, I heard yoga's good for you, so let's take a yoga class. So I found one that was near the house, and we went in there and just took a class. And I didn't know it was hot yoga, though. They didn't have a sign. It just said Yoga Institute. And I'm like, okay, Yoga Institute, that's cool. We got in there, and it was so hot. I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot in here. I'm like, maybe the air conditioning's broken. They didn't say anything. They didn't say, oh, it's hot, do this, bring water, nothing. And so I got in there, and it just got hotter and hotter. And
no water?
No, we had water.
Okay,
we did bring water. They did say that.
Might not be having this interview today if you didn't have water.
Right. But we took the class, and it was literally the hardest thing I'd ever done. And I'd played sports my whole life. Like from the time I was 8, I played up through college, softball and basketball, and that was a hard thing. When the class was over, I was like, my daughter's like, let's get out of here. And I'm like, I can't even get up. So I'm like, my keys were like against the back wall, and I couldn't even get to them. They were like 2 inches away from me.
Really?
Yeah. But when I got home, I was like, okay, that was something there.
Euphoria you were feeling euphoric, just ready to go.
Yeah. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't understand. I just didn't know, but I knew that I had to go back to it. So then I just kept going back, and my daughter's like, you're going to go back there? And I'm like, yes. And you don't want to? And she's like, no. And I said, but I did. And so I just kept going back and going back and going back. And I had a corporate job at the time, and which I loved, and I thought, like, I'm going to retire in this job. And then the more I practiced yoga, the more I was like, I don't think this job is what I'm supposed to be.
Wow. And that must have been a little bit of a scary feeling.
It was, because they paid me a lot of money.
Right.
My husband calls them golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
He's like,
golden handcuffs.
They pay you so much that you can't leave, and that's basically what it was, bonus after bonus. And
yeah. And
then I was like, but I remember one day practicing and looking at myself in the mirror, not really knowing who I was. I was like, I knew who the business card said I was. I knew who the big office said I was, but it didn't match up with how I felt on the inside. And so I just was like, I told my husband, I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. And he's like, well, then don't.
Right.
So I said, well, yeah, but, all that money that's coming in, it's not going to be coming in. He's like, we'll make it work. So I quit. I went in to tell them that I was going to quit, and they were just like, please don't quit.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, can you stay and just work part-time?
Give you another set of golden handcuffs. Come on, Karin.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and I wasn't good at saying no back then. So I'm like, all right, I'll just work in the morning. Cause I kind of worked my way up where I was working part-time. And then I worked my up. They said, do you want to join the management team? And I worked my way up, and, that ladder that you can climb.
Yep.
But my boss did tell me at the time, he said, when I first said I would do it, he said, you might get up to the top and not like the view.
Really?
And I said, oh no, I'm going to like the view.
Yeah.
Because when you're
aggressive, ready to go.
He was right. I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever think back to when he said that to you, and you're like, okay, he was right. This was a big changing point in my life, but I didn't know it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was a great teacher. They were great guys. I mean, they were very They were kind of like Zen. They were way ahead of their time. And so a lot of the stuff I learned about life, I learned from that group of those 3 men that owned this company. But we had a lot of nice discussions about life. But it was funny because when it came down to it, he gave me a week later. He said, "Let's go to the CEO." I said, "Let's go to lunch." And so we went to lunch, and he goes, "Okay, you had a vacation. You had a week off. You ready to get back to work?"
What'd you say?
I said, "Actually, that was the best week that I've had in a long time."
Oh my God. Was he like, "Drinks, please"?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh," and I said, "I can't go back to what I was doing." It was they were basically sucking the life out of me.
Right.
It was just like they just
Draining.
wanted more and more and more hours and more, and it was affecting my marriage. It was affecting my life with my kids, everything, because it's you're just consumed by this job that it doesn't really mean that much.
Yeah.
In the big scheme of things.
In the big scheme, that's a great way to put it. And it's kind of funny that when you bring up the marriage part of it, but your husband Roy had your back. He was like, "Oh, we'll make it happen," just kind of like, or "We'll make it work." What was that feeling like when your husband, someone you've known for a long time, says, "Hey, I got your back. Let's do this plan"?
It was everything.
Yeah.
But he's always been like that. He's allowed me to follow my dreams, whatever they were. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom, and my kids were 8 and 10, and I thought, I think I should go out there and get out in the workplace. And he's like, "Okay." So that's when I took the part-time job. But he's always, he's always supported me. Always, yeah.
That's awesome. I would like to take it back to your early days, because you grew up on the East Coast, right?
Well, I was born in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But we moved out here when I was 6 months old.
To Arizona. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been here pretty much my whole life.
So you said you played little sports when you were younger, high school, played sports. What were the sports that you played?
Basketball and softball.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So then you go to, do you go to college or what's
Scottsdale Community College.
Okay. What was that experience like?
It was good. I just liked playing sports. I mean, that was, so my senior year, I took a summer camp, a basketball summer camp at Scottsdale. And the coach said, "Hey, if you want to come play here, we'll give you a scholarship." So I'm like, "Okay," because I can still keep playing, So I did. And so and that's where I met Roy there.
Go
Really?
Artichokes.
Go Artichokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Producer Nick
Choke
is a big
Nation.
fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you meet Roy. You meet him at class? Do you meet him?
I would see him at, walking, kind of him going one way, me going the other way.
Yeah.
I would see him in the stands
Okay.
during the games, like the basketball games. I saw him up there. He would sit near my parents, which was funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he always had a girl with him. So I thought, but he's got a girlfriend. But the story was that the girl liked him. So she would go there because she would sit with him, but he liked me. So it was like
So Roy wasn't a player after all. He was just a...
yeah, no. I think he just wanted to come watch me play.
That's awesome. So when did you actually first get to chat with him?
He sent me a Valentine's card.
Really?
Yeah, which is, kind of weird these days because nobody mails anything. But back then, so I got a Valentine from him, said he wanted to get to know me, and, that was the start of it. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then he was going to call me, and it was funny because he said it took him a lot of courage to get up the courage to make the phone call.
Yeah.
And then we met at school the next day, and we just started. We were just friends. We just started out as friends, basically, because that's, I think, the best way.
You think so?
Yeah.
What
well,
makes
for
you say
me.
that? Yeah, but
because then you can. The thing is, like, if you can get along with people and be friends with them, it's I think a better way than if you go to bed with somebody and you have great sex and then you're thinking,
right,
it can't just be that.
Right.
So life is more than just that. So we just created a friendship, and we just were like best friends, and we just grew from there.
That's awesome, and that's perfect. That's a good way it should be. I mean, but it's like you also said, the times have changed a little bit.
They are.
Now it's more DM and the Instagram.
I know. I'm glad don't have to do that now.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's my husband and I talk about that now, because we have friends that are divorced and trying to find someone else, and it's like almost. He's like, I would not want to have to do that now.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally get you there.
Yeah.
So now, post college, where does Karin Felman find herself?
Let's see. We got married. We got married a couple of. We got married in '82.
Okay.
And then I worked at American Express with him, not with him, but in the same the same company.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant, and then I quit, and then We had a couple kids.
Okay.
And then I stayed at home, and then my kids were in school, and I worked. I didn't work, but I volunteered at their school. They went to a Catholic school.
Okay.
So I did their art masterpiece program. So I brought in like
Oh, nice.
masters, like artwork from the masters, and we talked about it. And they did like little projects, and then I coached the basketball team, the girls basketball
Oh,
team.
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. So we did that, and and then that's when I started working. Then they were like 8 and 10. I'm like, I should probably bring some money into this, this partnership that we have.
Yeah. So then kind of fast forward a few years, you, like we were talking about earlier, you find yourself in this corporate weird structure. What happens next? Kind of explain the conversation that you and Roy have to get Hot Yoga University going.
Well, okay. So I quit my job. I started teaching yoga. I taught yoga for like 8 years. And then I was teaching at that same studio that I first went to. And it was a great little tiny studio. And the woman that owned it was, we became really good friends. And I just wanted to help her out because she was basically doing it by herself. She was single. She didn't have anyone to help her. So I'm like, well, I wasn't doing anything. I said, well, let me help you.
Yeah.
So I helped her, and then tried to help her grow at more classes and that kind of stuff. And then like 8 years into it, it kind of got iffy. Like she tried to sell it a few times.
Okay.
So that kind of put an uneasiness.
No,
because I was like I put my heart and soul into it. So I was like, oh. And then my husband was like, he was at work, and he was like, I think something's going to happen at work. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I think, they're going to lay people off. And I was like,
oh no.
Yeah. So he's like, well, just hold off before you do anything at this place. Cause I didn't know what I was, I kind of was maxed out over there.
Yeah.
And then they laid him off, and, I'd never really seen that look on his face before, because he was always the one
jovial, happy.
Yeah, and supporting me and like all this stuff, and helping me, and like letting me explore and do all the crazy things I want to do. And so he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, I've been in this job for 35 years. Where do I go? And I said, you don't have to worry. He's like, what do you mean I don't have to worry? I'm like, we'll just do our own thing. And he's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I go, we'll open up a yoga studio. And I don't even know. I just blurted it out.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, okay. And
Game
so then,
on.
and I was like, shit.
Here we go.
He just said, okay. And so then from there, then that was like it was a big thing, because then I really had to put my money where my mouth was, because I said, I said, if you can get me the keys to a studio, I can do it. I can make it work.
Yeah.
And that, which was not an easy thing, because we never had a business before. All the banks were like, forget what you want to open what? Okay, good luck.
Yeah.
So we kind of did it on our own, but I have a lot of faith, and that was the thing. It's like I had lots of meditations where I could see that I could do whatever I wanted. Like that Jesus was there saying, "Do it." Go. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I got great plans for you. So we just went with it, and we went to Papago Plaza, which they just tore it down.
Yeah.
So it was kind of run down back then, but it was great because I grew up in that plaza. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to run up and down that place all the time, and so it was great to bring yoga to that part of the community, like South Scottsdale.
Yeah.
And I was very grateful, and they were basically just let us come in. They're just like, yeah, come on in, so we did, and we built it, and we were there probably like maybe 4 years. They decided they were going to sell it like a year we were in it, and they were like, oh, no.
Right,
like,
another roadblock.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, we're going to, we just sold the property, but don't worry, because we're going to make it we're just going to reface it. And so it was kind of like there was like the uneasiness, like you're thinking they're saying this, but it doesn't make sense because it was built in like the 60s, and it's all this open space parking lot. They did just tore it down.
How big was the studio that you were renting out? Like, give me a size that you might.
It was probably about 2,300 square feet, 2,400.
Okay, so how many students could you get in at one class?
Maybe 40.
40.
Yeah.
And it was all dry, or was there hot in there too?
It was hot. It was
hot.
It was just hot.
Just hot.
We didn't have non-heated.
One room. Okay. And then did you have your YTT at that point? Obviously,
I did one, because when I opened up the studio, I couldn't get a hot yoga teacher to come, because if you're a Bikram teacher, you're only allowed to teach. This was back then.
Yeah.
You could only teach at a Bikram studio.
Okay.
Or else they would take away your certificate.
What?
That's what it's like the Bikram thing was, and that was why I didn't want to do it when I left. I wanted to open something new and kind of evolve hot yoga because there were lots of things that I liked about it, but there was lots of things I didn't like about it.
Okay.
And so I thought, I don't want to open a Bikram studio. I just want to open a hot yoga studio and do it the way I want to do it.
Right.
So that's what I kind of did.
Well, yeah, and then you said in class the other day, feel free to keep your eyes closed. And you're like, sometimes, because then you said to me, or said to someone, I overheard you, you're like, yes, usually they're like, keep your eyes open and stay in the room. I personally have a better time staying in the room with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
Because I can see that third eye vision. I can see all that stuff.
I agree. Yeah, and that was part of it. You could, you had to keep your eyes open. If you closed your eyes, they would come over and say, "Hey, open your eyes."
What?
Yeah.
That was a thing.
That was a thing.
That would
back
throw
then.
me off even more.
Yeah, because they were afraid. Well, this was what Bikram told us at our training. He was afraid that if you closed your eyes, you were going to leave the room, and he wanted you to be in the room. But we know there's this inner dimension that we can get to, and it's better than the room.
Right.
And you're still in the room, but you're totally in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, now tell me, can you explain to people, because I kind of jumped in that, what is YTT when I say that?
Yoga teacher training.
Yep.
Yes.
So how long does that take? What's that like?
Well, they take the first training I ever did was with this group of 5 or 6 women when I opened up the first studio. And it takes it's got to be like 200 hours.
Okay.
And the requirements change, but they used to be like, it had to be like 160 hours of contact hours, and then 40 hours you could have electives, whatever. But now Yoga Alliance is saying now it's 200 hours that are contact with like a main instructor.
Okay.
So that's what it is. It takes a couple months, and the thing is, teacher trainings, it's not really about the yoga. It's really about you.
Really?
Yeah, it's really about, you learn so much about yourself. It's all about like all the things that hold you back in life. It's gonna show up right. As soon as you get up and start teaching in front of people, all your fears show up right there.
Right.
So all these, like I talk about those barricades that we set up for ourselves, they're right there.
Right.
And you just break through one at a time. It's a journey really back to yourself.
Personality journey.
Yeah.
So in the training, do they teach you like how to do all the sequences of like a hatha class, say? Is that kind of something that comes with it, or? You would learn postures, you'd learn like the setup and the alignment and that kind of stuff. You would learn how to put things together like a flow class. You would learn about, ethics, about yoga. You would learn about like the history of yoga. Okay.
It's 200 hours it seems like a long time, but there's not a long
Flies by.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like kind of like with a podcast. You think you're like 15 minutes in, and then Nick will be like, "Yeah, dude, we're at 45."
You're right. It's over.
But, yeah. But I mean, I'm interested in the YTT. I think it's because I've seen people come to your studio that, and then they've been doing class with me, and then pretty soon they're in all white and they're graduating. Now they're teaching yoga somewhere else. I'm like, God, they must be the best.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a great journey because you're really, for those people that are on it like that, and if you're drawn to it, then it is, you're just following your path.
Right.
So if your path takes you through yoga, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't take everybody there, but if it does, it's where you're supposed to be.
It's a good pathway.
Yeah.
It's less rocky path. Let's put it that way. Now let's go back to Papago Park. How many teachers did you end up bringing on?
I had, I think, 5.
Okay. And Effie was one of them.
She wasn't one of the original teachers.
Because your story with Effie is very unique. I didn't know
Yeah.
it goes back, because I was looking back when I was doing a little homework before you came on here, and your Instagram, she goes back a long ways.
Yeah,
So you guys
she worked at the desk. She was a desk.
She was a desk.
Yeah, she
lady.
worked at. She's a makeup artist, so she worked at cosmetics, I think. And then she would come, and she said, "Can I work the desk?" So I'm like, "Sure," because I trade people, that couldn't afford the yoga.
Yeah.
So they'd trade out work at the desk. So she worked at the desk, and she wanted to go to teacher training for a long time. And I'm like, "Just get your stuff together."
Yeah.
And go. Quit telling me about it.
Yeah.
So she finally went. She went to Mexico and did a training there.
Really?
Yeah. So she did like an immersion. It's like a 19-day immersion, and then came back and started teaching. Yeah.
And for the folks at home, Effie is a phenomenal teacher at
She is.
Karen's Hot Yoga University. For everybody back home.
I'm probably the hardest on her than anybody, because I know she's a great teacher. But
Phenomenal.
I ride her more than anybody else and
Right.
critique her class more than anyone. You can talk to her about it. She'll be like, oh, yeah.
I want to get her on.
Yeah.
I'd like to have her on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she'd love it.
I kind of see that. It's kind of, and I want you to take the best, but it's like a mother-daughter type relationship I see from an outsider looking in at you two. It's very special
Yeah.
to witness. So you get Effie, you kind of get somebody, now you got 3 other teachers. You've been there for what, 4 years you were saying?
Yeah, I think we left there about, yeah.
And then you find this new space that we know today.
Which was weird because we weren't really going to leave yet, the place, because our lease had expired and we were just doing month to month, you know?
Yeah.
We're kind of in limbo, which is not a good feeling.
Right.
And then this guy shows up from Ox Urban Realtors.
Oh, okay.
That's TJ, and he said, I don't know what you guys are doing, but
Yeah.
if you're interested in moving, we're like repurposing this plaza down the street and we're trying to fill it up. And I'm like,
Okay.
and then one of my teachers like, we're not moving, you know. No. I'm like, well, let me see the paper.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I'm like, I put it on my desk. And then Roy came in and I said, oh, I got to show you this paper. This guy came in and he goes, oh my God, I had a dream last night that we moved there.
Oh my God.
And I go, what? I go, let's go look at it now. So we called the guy. We went over there, and it was really an empty plaza, basically. And so they had the one space that we're in now, which is that big space. But I was like, that's way too expensive because it was like, you know, it's a nice space. It used to be a mattress store, so it was just wide open.
Right.
And then I thought, we'll just knock it down a few walls and the back ones, and then we'll just move in there.
Okay.
But they kept, you know, through the negotiations, they kept really trying to push us out to that one space.
The mattress store?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the plaza was kind of empty, so I think they thought, well, if we have somebody that is here, then it'll lure people.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, we want to fill up the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so then we did that, and
Now, did you start off with just that main? Explain to people what it looks like. So if someone's listening, they kind of know. So you walk in the door. There's
you walk in the door, and then we have the non-heated room was something new because I had people when I was over at Pepco Plaza, they would come in and they're like, oh, you only do hot yoga. You know, like it was like, you know, and I'm like, yes, right now, yes. And so I couldn't do anything. We only had the one room. So I thought, well, when we move, if we ever move, this was, you know, if we ever move, and we did, I would have a non-heated room. And so we did that. And then we had a little side area that we thought was going to be a seating area, but it didn't, no one sat there. So then we put a little wall up, and then we do our yoga teacher trainings in there.
Okay.
And then the hot room is, of course, the big room, and that's a good sized room.
Very big room.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because you've got like mirrors on the front and the side. And so what, well, you've got this saying that you've really incorporated to Hot Yoga University, and I take a really good pride in it, and it's the do your best, not your most.
Yeah.
Tell everybody a little bit about that, because I think that's where did you come up with that? Is it something you got?
I don't know.
Time?
I think we take stuff from
Everybody.
Yeah. I just think it's true because I think in this world we get so sucked into thinking that we have to, wherever we are, we have to do our most, and even like relationships or whatever it is. And we know that the older we get that it's not true. All you have to do is do your best effort. You get full benefit right there. And it shows in the yoga. And I think that when people practice and they're in there and they're allowed to do their best and they don't have to kill themselves, you know, then they leave the room and they know that, okay, if I just did my best here and that worked out really well. Yeah. I can go to work and do my best and I can let go. And then the hard thing is the letting go of, you know, the rest of the stuff that you didn't get done. Yeah. You know, so it's just like, it's just an easy philosophy.
Right. Yeah, no, I always get a kick out of it because I want to tell you my story with Hot Yoga University. So because I've been down here for 4 years, but I went back home for a summer to just kind of have I was kind of sick of just like what you were. Yeah. Sick of the corporate stuff. Wanted to go home. I'm from North Dakota, so I wanted to be outdoors and just kind of live my life, ride horse, be with high school friends, yada, yada, yada. So I moved back down here. This is about 2 years ago. And my roommate and I were looking for a gym to go work out with. We just got down here that day, and we went down to Scottsdale Road. We went to LA Fitness, and they were remodeling. So they said, no, we're not letting anybody in. So typed in Google. I was like, okay. And then we go to UFit. And they're like, oh, it's going to be $20. I'm like, I'm not going into UFit for $20. There's a bench press here. Right. And so my buddy, my roommate, Dan Stuck, he's like, dude, let's go. I just Googled this place called Hot Yoga University. And that's awesome. I was like the guy who played football, sports guy. I'd never done yoga in my life. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not going. Not a chance, man. Let's go to a bar. Let's have a beer.
Right.
And he's like, no, man, we need to go. We've had a long, stressful day. This
Right.
needs to happen. He's like, I've never led you down a bad path. Please let me bring you here.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
okay, fine. So we go, and they were offering I want to say it was like a vinyasa flow in the non-heated room. And I can't remember the teacher. She isn't there not today. I want to, but so we go into the non-heated room, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Karen, I was very skeptical. And we're sitting there, and there's probably like 10 or 12 of us. And there was this girl in the back who I wasn't sure. I think it was Carol. I wasn't sure if she was critiquing, but my friend at the time, he's like, dude, she's sketching the class. He's like, this is a great place. That's how my old roommate talk. And I was like, okay, cool.
She's probably taking notes.
Yeah,
for teacher training.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And anyways, so this girl, I don't know her name, but I owe her a lot. She starts in on the class. It was the best.
Oh.
And that room you have, the non-dry room, is just like very dark, and it was like 7 at night, and there was great music flowing and good. There's probably only 6-7 people in there. It was a great time. And I remember I left, and not really many people were in there, but we were talking about kind of the class, and the teacher was talking to Dan and I remember just feeling like clean.
Yeah.
I felt good. I felt I had a purpose. I felt I had a clean slate for the next day. I felt like I felt a feeling I've never had. A feeling that, no alcohol, drug, sex, anything could do for me. It was just brought to me by
a natural high.
A natural high, like a runner's high or something.
Yep.
But this was like better.
Yeah.
I don't like to, use the word better, but it was.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. And so the next day, kind of like what you said, I looked at Dan. I'm like, are we going to go back? And he's like, no, man, I got to work. I'm like, well, I think I'm going to go. And I went to your class. I went to a hatha.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to try. And I was the same way. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can. I remember I was laying there because I got there, like it was a 4:30 class, and I got there at 4:10. I was laying there, and I remember you came in, and you're like humming. You're like, okay, who's ready? I'm like, I'm pretty wore out already. We haven't even stood up. So, but I remember after that class, because you do a really unique thing in Hot Yoga University that kudos to you. It's awesome. You make sure if you're new to the studio, you take a point before the class and you say, okay, we have new people. We have Dallas here. Hey, Dallas, welcome. Have you done hot yoga before? Yeah. Other places don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important.
It's very important. It's personalization.
People want to feel like they belong somewhere. And I think that what I learned, teaching yoga all these years and other studios is that it is important. And because people want to feel like they belong to something, and a lot of people don't have anything outside their work. So they come to yoga and they feel like, oh, I belong here.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when you do that, is that an idea you came up with or something you got from somebody or what brought
I think I probably got it at the first studio I taught at. But some teachers did it, some people didn't do it. But I want all my teachers to do it, and I'll get on them if they don't, because it is important. And plus, hot yoga it's challenging, and if it takes a lot of courage to get into the hot room, so that's one thing right there. And if they're not even acknowledged that they did it, I think that's a shortcoming on our part. So I always want to make sure that they feel welcome and that they feel like, oh, you did a good job, because it's not easy.
One of the things I also like that when you're in your class, you'll remember names. You're very good with names. And you, like with me, just for example, be like, wow, Dallas, good job. You're really getting better.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that part, because like I'll be really zenned out, but it's just like, okay, I'm making progress here. Yeah.
Yeah. I had, because, you get, like when you practice, like that's how you learn. Like, when I had teachers in the past that said that to me, like I'd maybe be at a point where I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. And then the teacher goes, oh, well, that was really good. And you're like, oh, and then you have this more energy to like carry you through your practice.
Yep. And then another thing you do, what do you call it when you're laying on the ground after? Is that vinyasa?
Shavasana.
Shavasana.
Yeah.
When you're in a shavasana and you'll come, can I step on your feet? That's the best, Karen.
That is the best.
And because it's truly, what does that do?
Well, there's pressure points in your feet.
Okay.
So it's like reflexology. So I just walk on your feet and I just find the parts that are like a little tight or hard, and I just step on those a little bit harder, and it's like it has to do with all the places in your body, like your kidneys, your liver, everywhere, your stomach, everything. And so you're releasing all that tension that's trapped in those places, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
The first time actually it was the owner of that one studio, the first time she walked on my feet, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got home and I made all my family lay on the floor. I'm like, lay on the floor. But it wasn't the same, it's not the same if you just say, lay on the floor and just do it. They're like, what are you doing?
No, I totally see that. Yeah. Another thing that I really like is the spray at the end. What is the meaning behind that? Can you
There's just it's a little like a lavender mist. It's just to cool you off. And then, lavender is very, it's an essential oil that's very like soothing and comforting. And I always think that I'm blessing the people when I do it.
Yeah.
I just, give them a little good thoughts, send them on their way.
100%.
Yeah.
What's been kind of your philosophy when it comes to yoga?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Just like, what do you take in every day to the studio? Do you have because I know the mantra at the beginning is, do you try to provide that for somebody, or just provide a stable being for
I do.
people?
I try to give an intention to the class. But I used to prepare a whole bunch of stuff. But now I just I do yoga nidra before I practice, before I teach. And so
what gives me,
have you ever done the yoga nidra class?
Yep.
So I do one of those when I wake up in the morning, and so it kind of clears everything out.
Yep.
So now I just feel that I'm just going to access what I need for the people that are in there. And so I'll look in the we have a little flip calendar that has the messages for the day.
Yeah.
I'll look at that, and if I like that, yes, I'll use one of those. But if not, then I'll just open up a book like today. Just open up the one that said that you're responsible for your own experiences, and it was perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. It was very interesting because this week, because I knew we had our big interview today, I was like, I'm gonna go every day. I'm gonna go 5 days straight, and I'm gonna make it happen no matter what. Because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I gotta do open mic tonight, or I got this meeting or whatever. But I did it 5 days, and I gotta tell you, I haven't had any anxiety since Tuesday.
Wow.
And that is really, there's no medication, nothing involved, because I'm not a medication guy.
Right.
And my medication is yoga, and it's just wow, it actually. So I'm gonna see how long I can go. I'm gonna go tomorrow at 9 a.m. again.
And it will do that, because you're balancing out everything in your body, and it's just naturally you have a pharmacy inside you. And it's just naturally occurring, freely occurring chemicals that you can get to just by getting out of your head, and just getting into your body, and your body starts to work the way it's supposed to work. Yeah.
Well, it's yoga is very interesting to me because it provides this energy for me, because I told you yesterday what my day goes like is sometimes I'll lift weights in the morning, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, get ready for the day, 7 to 4 work, and then get to the yoga studio at 4:30 to 5:30, and then hit up some comedy spots at night. But everybody's like, well, holy shit, that's a long day. I'm like, but you don't understand that 4:30 to 5:30 is like drinking 6 Red Bulls.
Yep.
It's just, it's ready to go.
Yeah. The guy that started hot yoga, Bikram Chowdhury, he would say yoga's a gas station. And it really is. It does really it just fills you up.
Why do you think that is?
I think because one, you are disconnecting from everything outside the room, and you're just focusing on yourself. And you're letting go, you're just in the moment. Hopefully you're in the moment. I mean, you can bring your crap into the room with you, and you can do your practice with all that crap in your head, which it doesn't help you. But if you work to stay present, then you are creating the space for you to realize that all the good things that you are already, so then once you feel good about yourself, then you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And something I've taken from the room that you and Effie, and I mean, everybody does, Greg too, you always say, put your shoulders down. Yeah. Get your shoulders away from your head. Yeah. Because even when I'm driving, I'll find myself doing the best Pee Wee Herman impersonation. Then I'll just be like, oh my God. I know. What's the science behind that?
Well, it's because the body, I think the body knows before the mind knows. So this is just tension that's built up in the body. Yeah. So just the awareness that when we practice yoga, we have the awareness relax your shoulders away from your ears. Oh my, I feel way better now. Yeah. But the body, it'll get that tightness if it's in there. But the yoga practice releases all the tensions. That's why when you leave, you're like, I feel like $1 million. Yeah. Because it's all gone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's awesome. And that kind of is a good segue into what's been your best, because now you're pretty established with Hot Yoga University and got a really good thing going. I mean, all the classes are busy, which is great.
Very blessed.
What's been an aha moment that you've had that you're like, wow, this is something that is going good. I finally am to a spot.
I would say, let's see, that I don't have to stress over it as much, like I would think that sometimes I work harder than I worked when we first opened up, Yeah. But when I've been recently sitting back more and enjoying it, just sitting back and watching, which is nice. I just like to come in and just like to observe it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a good feeling.
It is. And it's, I just like being there. I don't necessarily I don't like to tell people that it's my place. Mm-hmm. They'll say, "Oh, do you work here?" And I'm like, "Yes, I teach here." But because I don't want them to have a different look on me. Right. I just want to be like they are, just like
it's our place.
Yeah. So we're just all here practicing together.
And especially to see like your yoga daughter, if you will, Effie, grow the way she has. It's true. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, it's gotta be a good, cool moment too.
It is. And she's worked hard and, she's worked through a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own, and we're all still working through our own stuff.
Yeah.
But, she's a great teacher.
What are kind of some of the principles that you have when it comes to teachers at your yoga facility?
Well, number one is they have to practice. They have to practice at my studio. Like every day I get emails and calls from teachers that want to teach her.
Really?
They're like, yeah, but all they want to do is show up and teach and leave.
Oh, okay.
Like, I have an opening at this time, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that. This is a community, and if you want to be part of the community, come in, start practicing, see if you even like it here. You might not like the vibe,
Yeah.
And so the ones that show up, I give them a good shot. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to bring a new teacher in because I was once a new teacher and someone gave me a chance. So, I'm all about that. But you have to, one, put the work in, and two, it's not about you. Like it's not. You can't have my teachers. They don't have huge egos, and if I start to see that that's happening, then I'll make sure that I get rid of that because it's not about the teacher at all. It's about the students. That's it.
When you say ego, do you mean like, hey, I had this many people in my class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I'm such a great teacher.
Yeah.
Everybody came to my class, or this person, gave me this present. It's like, I don't care. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
not like that. It's not about that. Yeah.
But the ego is part of it. That's part of it. But we're here to serve, and that's the people that I want in my studio. The teachers that are here to serve others, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, your life isn't all yoga, Karin. What do you do in your spare time? Which you don't have much of, but what do you do,
I like to do nothing. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
If I have a day that there's nothing going on, that's like my favorite day.
Yeah.
I love to play with my grandkids. I mean, they're like 7 and 9 right now. And I would, if I could be with them all the time.
That would be life.
Yeah.
You're also a big fan of Disneyland, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about that?
I like it. I just like it because I get it away. I get a chance to get away. My husband really likes it. Like he is really the Disney fanatic, and I love going anywhere with him. So if I just I just get in the car and we just drive, and that's fine. But I like Disneyland. I like to watch the people. I like some of the rides. I don't like fast rides, but I like, fun rides.
Mm-hmm. And I brought in this salt rock for you. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you can see on the cameras, but you have a lot of rocks around your studio. Mm-hmm. A lot. Mm-hmm. What is like the presence behind that you found?
I think growing up, when we moved here, my dad loved the outdoors. He loved the desert. And so we would go, like every weekend, we would go rock hunting.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. We would just, he would dig up rocks and he'd turn them over and there'd be like a beautiful quartz. And we're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And so I think that's where it started. So kind of like I've always loved being a rock hound but they have, and I never knew back then, but now they're, the rocks have meaning, like the salt one, it helps with like, electronics and, like the ones we have at the desk, we have some calcite, which helps with like gossip. And so I have it by the teacher where the teachers hang out so they don't gossip. That kind of helps with meditation. And, so all amethyst helps with things like sobriety. And, so we just kind of have all the rocks. But it's just good energy for sure.
Now, when you said earlier that you like to meditate on your own, can you kind of just take us through what it's like? You just sit down
well, it depends. Like I'll meditate like after class. I'll just meditate. I just focus at the third eye, and I'll either focus on my breath or a mantra, like just saying something like Satnam or whatever, that which just means I am truth. And then just meditate. And I I like to do it until I start to see colors. So these colors start to come in like a wave, like has that ever happened for you?
Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah. So I love that. So I just keep doing that. But yoga nidra is my meditation practice, really, because you can just lay down and listen to I listen to them on YouTube, and it just it drops you down into the feeling body, into the subconscious mind, and you get to rest there. And it's very restorative. And then when you come back out, then you're like renewed and everything's like in high definition.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. What would you say to someone that's kind of nervous about going to Hot Yoga University? They're kind of timid. What would be your suggestion for like a class and, just kind of something to get them inside the door?
I would definitely say to come to the Hatha class. Okay. It's just a basic beginner series. And like we said before, all you're going to do is your best effort. So if you can't even bend over and touch your toes, you're bending over, and wherever you are, you're doing your best effort. You're getting 100% benefit.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a hard thing for people to think, because they'll see someone that's doing a posture and they're like in this, your really crazy expression where it's like beautiful,
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I have to do it like that or it doesn't count. No.
Yeah. It's not like that.
No, it's not like that. Everybody gets the benefit.
What would you, now I've talked to you about this before, but I'm like the biggest critic of myself. What would you say something that I could improve on? Just because I'm only about 1 year and 5 months in, so I'm kind of just trying to do this for people that do it. But
maybe going deeper into it,
What do you mean by that?
Like let's say and stand in the dancer pose, maybe kicking more and working. Because lots of times, we're creatures of habit. So you get into a posture and that's it. That's your posture. And you think, okay, I'm in it. Okay, this is good. But if you don't challenge yourself, and I'm very cautious about not pushing too much, because, the way hot yoga was in the beginning was it was very much pushing, basically kill yourself in there. Just kill yourself.
Yep.
And so I'm very cognizant that I don't want to do that. I want people to feel like they're successful as they practice, because there's so much stress outside the room. I wouldn't want the yoga practice to create more stress. So there's that fine balance. But, going deeper into a posture, you could do that just by reaching more. You could say, okay, I'm going to work on my alignment more. I'm going to make sure that, or I'm going to work on my breath, or I'm just going to focus on breathing while I'm in here, or I'm just going to totally focus on being in this moment.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that we can do.
Oh yeah, it's just. Can I be honest with you? The toughest pose. It's funny you say that, because dancer.
It's
like,
yeah.
Once and that's early in the Hatha class. So once that's over, I'm like, whew, I'm gonna make it through.
Yeah.
But that's
tough. It. It's balance. It's it's concentration. It's it takes all those good things. You have to be determined to stay in it. You don't want to fall out. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna fall, and then so it's just you're just doing your best.
Doing your best and doing your most.
Yeah.
Or not your most.
Yeah.
Now, I asked every guest that we have here at Swim Lessons to leave kind of something for us, something that you live every day, your life, that you tell yourself to kind of get through the day, and something maybe that you could portray to someone else that might be listening to this podcast and that you'd like to leave here with.
Let's see. I would say that to let the past be the past.
Okay.
I'd say that's the biggest thing, that, the thinking mind, we want to bring it back into the present and just keep churning on it, but it's gone, and we miss so much of life by maybe wanting things to be like they were, or wishing it was different, or it didn't happen that way. But know that everything happens the way it's supposed to, and just let the past go and just embrace this moment, because it's going to be gone before we know it. Life goes by pretty fast. That's what I'd say.
So live in the moment. Just let it. That's very.
Just be here now.
That's deep, Karen. I love that. That's great. I'm going to take that. Now, something we do here at the end of every swim lessons is we have a 10 for 10. It's called. So I'm going to. Oh, I love you, Karen. Okay, so it's 10 for 10, and I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
And you have to answer them as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And away we go. Favorite city in the United States?
Arizona. I'm not a city.
Phoenix?
Just
Arizona?
Yeah,
okay.
just right here.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Favorite actor or actress?
I don't really have one.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Favorite state in the U.S.? Arizona. What do you prefer, mornings or evenings?
Mornings.
Favorite TV show?
I honestly don't watch that much TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll just say YouTube.
There we go.
Yoga videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Can you spell out the city in Texas named Dallas for me?
Dallas.
Yep. What city does the NFL team nickname the Cowboys play in?
Dallas.
What city in Texas rhymes with palace?
Dallas.
Who is your favorite yoga student at Hot Yoga University?
Oh, Dallas, of course.
Karen, it's been a pleasure. I love
you so
you.
much,
Thank you for
Dallas.
changing my life for the
Aw,
better. You've
thank
really
you.
done a fantastic job. Anybody listening to this, please, I beg you to go to Hot Yoga University. Karen's there usually every day except Tuesdays at 4:30.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Dallas.
I told you it's gonna be a party.